So in this video, I'm going to give you 2 ways to expand your consciousness and live with a more positive vibration. So hi, my name is Tony V, part of the 10-10 movement, and if it's your first time here, a big welcome, and if you're back again, welcome back. So yes, positive vibration versus negative vibration, what's that all about? How do I be in control of that? Well, the way to be in control of that is to become more aware, or what we call more conscious. So the first thing to sort of discover about ourselves is what is our key emotional response to something outside of us that's not really that great. Yeah, so think about it. Something happens outside of you and you get some sort of experience, emotional experience we'll call it, that isn't something that sort of inspires or empowers you. It sort of like takes your energy down. What's the emotion that pops up for you? So let me give you a bit of a clue. When I'm doing this with big audiences, I often say, so who here, pop your hand up, knows anybody that's ever worried about anything? And of course there's a bit of a snigger goes on and not so many people put their hands up, but actually the truth is that sort of pretty much of the 8 billion people on the planet, pretty much everyone sort of worries about something, you know, if not some of the time, a lot of the time, some people most of the time, yeah? Sometimes it's completely unconsciously that we're worrying. But then I ask, so who here ever gets anxious about anything, yeah? Do you know anybody that ever gets anxious? And of course I get the same response. What about, anybody know anybody that ever gets a bit frustrated? Anybody know anyone that gets a little bit angry? Anybody know anybody that gets a bit low, a bit maybe depressed? These are 5 common negative emotions that seem to be in our psyche, but sort of at the surface. They're ready to come out at any moment. Something outside of us happens that's not really going our way. So think about it for a moment. What, if you had one word to describe what emotion comes to the surface for you when things aren't going well, what word might that be? Yeah, maybe there's more than one. Sometimes, you know, it could be half a dozen different ones. Yeah, but what's the sort of biggest 1 or 2 of them? Yeah, that's an interesting thing to look at and just be the observer of. And actually, just becoming aware of it expands your consciousness, because you've expanded your awareness by just looking at it and going, yeah, actually, when things aren't going too well for me, what happens is I sort of get a bit frustrated very quickly. I was doing this with a guy this morning. He said, I asked him, and he said, well, you know, I guess I get angry very quickly. Interesting. And I get very stressed. That's another common word. And I get a bit fearful because I'm not really sure what's going to happen. Okay, all of these are common things that the humans en masse are experiencing. So how do we turn something that's got this sort of negative tag? And there are about, somebody counted, there's around 350 different emotions that have got what we would call a negative tag against them. And that you may well be you're likely to experience a few of them, because there's going to be a pattern about it. The pattern will have been learnt by you by copying somebody when you were very young. Very commonly it's your parents, if you were brought up by your parents, or whoever you were close to when you were very little. Whatever they did, you sort of observed that and unconsciously took that on as being like normal. So, but then the thing is, it's stuck in our psyche. So how do we change that? Because it seems to be a natural response, when actually it's not natural at all. It's a learned response, if you think about it. So we need to unlearn that and relearn something new that serves us in a more positive, let's call it a positive way. And what this does is it changes your energy. Some people call it change your vibration. Yeah, so let's just say something negative has happened, and what the way the mind, the egoic mind, works is it tends to focus on that thing. And the first thing it does is it focuses on this thing that's happened, is it will try to make it not its fault. So it will try and deflect any blame for this happening away from me. So we'll tend to defend and justify our position to make ourselves not wrong. But while we're doing this, a thinking pattern's going on. So if you could become aware of what you do to defend, justify, and what thinking patterns are going on in your head to make you not wrong. Of course, I often ask people, who here likes being wrong? Nobody's ever put their hand up for that. So of course, when we're doing defend and justify, and we're inadvertently making somebody else wrong, but know that they don't want to be wrong. So that's where we get this sort of backwards and forwards situation going on, which is of course what we don't want. So how do we turn that situation, which is happening for so many people on a regular basis, and it happens like in milliseconds, how do we turn that around into a more positive vibe about the whole thing? So the two things I promised you. The first thing is to look the other way, not metaphorically, but also physically. So if we notice how when we look at something and we're building this pattern of thinking in our head, trying to not make ourselves wrong, if we physically turn away from that and say something that comes from more what I call the green world. So we have some what I call positively tagged words that actually change our state. Because look, all of these negative states are just chemical concoctions. It's a chemical concoction that we create in a millisecond based on a pattern that we learnt when we were young. So anger is just a chemical concoction inside of ourselves. So if we want to lose that, it would be great to get it out of our psyche altogether. I said to the guy I was coaching today, how would your life be different if you never got angry ever again? Well, he's going, it would be like, that would be amazing. I said, right, so we've got to learn how to get that out of our psyche and have a different response every time something happens. So here's the language that you use, and the sort of what I call the body language. So we use body language and verbal language to change our focus or change the way we're looking at things so that we create new chemicals. So think about it. These chemicals are created in a millisecond. That means we can create new chemicals in a millisecond too. So these are my favorite words. You can choose words for yourself, but these really work for me. Yeah. So what I always do is look away and I go, and I use this sort of hand movement. I go, do you know what? It's all perfect. It's all perfect, and it's exactly how it's meant to be. I'm meant to have this experience, yeah? So one of the things I always say, the reason these emotions come to the surface is actually for us to let them go, get them out of our psyche. So it's a great opportunity. All the time we're defending and justifying, we're pushing them back down, and they're staying there ready for the next time that we get triggered into that same pattern. So here we're creating a new pattern, and look, it's easy to say, not so easy to do, that's what I always say. But look, here's the thing, it's all perfect. It's exactly how it's meant to be. You can even say, I'm meant to be having this experience. And then you could say, I'm meant to be having this experience so I can let this emotion go once and for all. Yeah, whatever it is. So that will be route number one. Move away, change your body language, change your verbal language, say something along those sorts of lines, which is using green words. We're away from all the anger, frustration. We're moving towards it's all perfect. And then the second thing to do is notice that when you've been got, as I sometimes call it, and we've got these emotions in our body, effectively we've sort of gone into fight and flight. And angry mode or frustration mode is actually the chemicals of our fight and flight system have become active. That's adrenaline, cortisol, they're sort of key chemicals. But like it's a whole chemical concoction, hormones, chemicals all running around our system, which we can label. We know when we're angry, we know when we're frustrated. They're different feelings, but actually they're just different chemicals. So imagine becoming in control of those chemicals rather than those chemicals being in control of you. That's the secret. Now, one way to change those chemicals, other than doing the positive vibe thing, yeah, would be to breathe differently. Because once you've been got, what happens is we breathe more shallow. And when we breathe more shallow, our body suffers from a sort of lack of oxygen. Carbon dioxide indeed starts to build up in our system. And when that happens, inner alarm bells go off, which make us go into even more emergency mode. So lack of oxygen is another key factor. So if we suddenly, as we have this emotionality, turn away but fill our body with oxygen, suddenly we've got these two tools working synchronistically to change our experience, change our state. Now, the easiest way, there are many breathing techniques, but one of the fastest ways to change your inner chemistry so that you're, as I say, in control of it, is to breathe in your mouth and out your mouth. It's what I call conscious breathing. And you do it very deliberately like this. even make the noise, and you can feel your body, you can feel your lungs filling up, and then your heart pumps all this oxygen around your system, and it changes your chemistry. Oxygen's part of your chemistry set, and if we've got a lack of it, then we get more negative tagged emotions. The more oxygen we've got, the less negative tagged emotions. So 2 or 3 deep breaths like that, whilst looking away and saying, do you know what, it's all perfect. It's exactly as it's meant to be. I'm meant to be having this experience. Now, all of your body chemistry, all of your emotionality has changed, and you've done it in a very, very fast time. Now, what's likely to happen is you're going to carry on running your old pattern until you go, hold on a minute, I'm running my old pattern. Let me change that pattern for a new one. And bit by bit, the more you practice, the less the old pattern will have a hold over you, the less it will be present in your psyche. You can also get rid of this anger, get rid of whatever it is, like, yeah, off you go. I've done with you now. I don't need you anymore. I know, I appreciate you've helped me on my journey, but look, I've got a new way now, a new way of being, what I call a more green way, and that is moving us towards living a more 10 out of 10 life experience. So that's it really from me, Tony V. If you're new to the 10-10 movement, please do hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because we make 2 videos every week. My beautiful wife Nikki V makes one, I make the other one. So you'll get a little notification on your phone or on your computer saying there's a new 10-10 movement video just gone up on YouTube, and you can dive in and watch it and trust that you're going to learn something from it that's practical, that you can put into action. So please do put into action what you've learnt today, and see how it all works and see how it changes your state. So that's it from me, Tony V. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.